Hi everyone, welcome to Throwback Thursday. Today I have the LEGO Dinosaurs Young Brachiosaurus. It's a set from 2001, and I got this set used, and the reason why the box is destroyed is because the dinosaur did it. I used to have this set as a child, but unfortunately I lost that copy, so I got another copy, and it's this one that I'll be showing you today. So in the box there's an unknown number of bags, although the person who sold me the set gave me these 2 bags here. And then there's these instructions that we will not be using, but we'll look at them at the very end. Let's build the Brachiosaurus first. In case you don't believe me, this is LEGO telling you this is the correct pronunciation. It's really cool that they did that for young kids. And I will point out that this is one of the first times that LEGO has introduced this color of sand green. Of course, we see it a lot more these days, but back then this was brand new. Oh yeah, this brings back memories for sure. This is like quite a blocky build here, but then it's so smooth for the head and the tail, and both of them are adjustable to some extent. So it's actually surprising to me how big the contrast is between this part right here and this. It almost feels like this is not LEGO. And back when I was a kid, I didn't really pay attention to this. I didn't notice the very big contradiction, but now I do, and I just can't get over it. But for its time, this was considered to be a good model, especially for kids. 6 to 12. If you're 13 years old, no dice. You don't have the right to play with this anymore. That's how they used to do things back in those days. So, yeah, if you hide this part, it looks good, or you can imagine that it looks good. But if you have to look at the whole thing, then by today's standards, this does not look good, unless you specifically like retro LEGO or 1980s, 1990s LEGO. It's true that this was released in 2001, but it has that 1980s, 90s vibe, except for the color scheme, which is a little bit more modern than that. The grays, though, are the old grays. LEGO now uses what we call bluish gray, or blay as some people like to say. So look at the difference between this gray right here and this gray here used on the wheelchair. It's not the same gray because this dark bluish gray replaced the dark gray from the past. And if you were alive at the time, you had a large LEGO collection, you would have to be careful not to mix these, or unless you're doing it in a very intentional way, otherwise it would look very inconsistent. And then maybe a little bit less drastic, the light gray here from the past was replaced with the light bluish gray. So LEGO did some research, they found out that the bluish gray looks a bit better, and that's where they wanted to go long term. So they phased out these 2 colors in favor of these 2. I do prefer the more modern ones, but I don't think LEGO should have completely phased out the older 2 colors. I think they should have kept these maybe for use like for limited amounts of parts, or just as a color to be used occasionally and not always, just because I do think there's some cases where you want to have these old colors, like for example if you're doing a retro remake of LEGO Classic Space or something like that. So I do think that LEGO should actually bring back these colors, not to replace the new ones, but just as a supplement when you're trying to do something retro, or in some cases these colors might just look better depending on what it is that you're building. I can imagine, for example, this might be better for the castle because it's just slightly more reddish in tone and more realistic. So yeah, it's good to see these old colors again. The shaping, of course, is very blocky, but it has a certain charm to it, if you appreciate such things. The legs do not move, unless you count this as movement, but that's not really designed to be moved like that. It's really meant to be static. The tail, as we've seen, can move with these 2 components. So it can be like all the way tail up, tail down, touching the ground, and even lifting a little bit above the ground when you have it fully down like this. The head can almost touch the ground. Let's say if it wants to drink some water, then yes, it can drink some water like this. So that's pretty cool. And there's a hole at the back of the head if you want to add more pieces or accessories. And maybe if you have another one of these tails, you could put the tail on the head like this. So that's a pretty nice addition. So yeah, that's the Brachiosaurus. Very simple build. You can build it without the instructions very easily just by looking at the box. I don't remember as a kid if I used the instructions to build the set or not. I really don't know. But what I do remember is something that LEGO used to include in their instructions, which they don't do anymore, and that is a poster. So let's say you buy the set, you build the set, you follow these instructions, and then eventually you're done, you don't need them anymore. Well, instead of just leaving this back of the instructions blank or giving you an ad, they actually give you a poster. The idea is that if you're a kid, you're gonna take this and you're gonna hang it in your room. I'm gonna rotate it just to make it fit in frame. And it is ripped because I got it used, but this does give you the general idea. So it's basically some terrain with some vegetation, a river on the side, and we do get some fossils here from various dinosaurs. We also get some live animals here, like this turtle, this iguana, 2 turtles actually. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing. And I think that LEGO would not do something like this these days, because if they were to make a poster, it would be with only Lego elements, so they would have to use Lego pieces to make the scene. So this would not happen these days, I think, because if I just show you this poster without any additional context, you would not know that it's Lego. And so Lego, I think, has gotten much better at being more consistent as a brand. Oh, and by the way, back then the Lego.com website was brand new. This is what web browsers look like. So this looks very outdated these days, but back then this was the new thing, the internet. Oh, and one other thing that Lego was doing at this time, in addition to selling you one set, they would like you to get another one. And they were doing this with Bionicle, dinosaurs, and maybe a few other themes as well. And they did this with Technic a bit later on. So basically, they tell you if you buy this set plus this other set, you can make this thing. If you buy these two sets, so this one plus another one, you're going to make this other thing instead. And same thing for the third one. So these dinosaurs are more realistic, like they're based on a real-life dinosaur that was discovered, based on some fossils. However, these ones are purely imaginative. You see here, for example, a dinosaur with two heads, a dinosaur here with this big fin piece. So lots of interesting ideas here to give kids. And by the way, the color here is the sand blue. So that was also introduced around the same time. And the LEGO slogan at the time was "Just Imagine." Just before we wrap up, I just want to point out how far LEGO has come when it comes to animal builds and dinosaurs specifically. Like taking a look at this one versus the more recent dinosaur builds that they've done at various scales, you can see a huge difference. And this is not even counting the animal molds for things like Jurassic World. I don't really count those as LEGO. Yes, they are technically LEGO elements, but they're not brick built. And I much prefer the brick built versions. That's what LEGO is all about to me. Building this set brought me back to my childhood days of 2001, and it was a really nostalgic experience for me to build it and share it with you. If you'd like to see even more of these videos, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a video. I do lots of old LEGO stuff, new LEGO stuff, and sometimes I do custom builds when I'm not being flooded with tons of new LEGO sets that I'm building without the instructions. So that's it for now. What do you think? Did you get this set as a kid, or do you want to get it as an adult? Or do you have any other dinosaur sets that you have built or you're currently thinking of building? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.